We are back. You Don't Know Ball, episode 25. Damn, it's been what, like a month since our last episode? Uh, yeah, been a minute. We had to take a little break here with the football season ending. Had a lot of March Madness stuff going on in the accounts, but we got the NFL draft next week, so we got to make a little bit of return, talk some draft day stuff, and get you guys caught up on some of our takes, at least leading up to. We're probably gonna like look at the top 5 picks. I mean, like Mendoza's already going 1, but there's some question marks with like who the Jets are gonna take and the Giants, a couple New York teams, and then we talk about as we get later in the draft with other teams like the Cowboys and the Bears, of course. We'll touch on them a little bit, but yeah, excited for this one, Jack. Glad to be back on here with you.
Oh yeah.
I know it's been also a pretty hectic time. I think we touched about this on the podcast before, but we're both Division I baseball players, and Jack is still playing ball, and we went to Lehigh, right? So we play baseball at Lehigh, and they made the national news. You guys made the national news this week with a 38-6 victory over Coppin State. So we gotta first start there before we get into football, okay? How does that happen? A 38-6 victory. I believe that was the most runs scored in the first inning ever, 20 runs. And then we had like AQ broke the walk record, 7 walks in the whole game. Like you gotta, like, what happened? What went down in this game? Like, I can't I can't even describe it. I gotta.
It was definitely crazy. I think it was something like 24 walks, 9 hit by pitches. So it's definitely interesting. Coppin State, we play them every year. We have a lot of respect for them. They're a good team, but they were coming off a big series win against Central Connecticut State, who was the preseason number 2 team in the NEC in their conference. So I think we kind of just caught the back end of their pen, like a depleted Coppin State bullpen. So they were rolling guys out there that kind of weren't throwing strikes at all. But yeah, it's just one thing led to the next. It was definitely interesting being on the winning side of it. But yeah, no disrespect to them at all. But it was, yeah, definitely interesting. It was a crazy game. AQ walked 7 times. We were working good at bats, but it was definitely a long game. It was like a 4-hour, 7-inning game.
Crazy, bro. That was my first thought. I'm like, dude, these guys had to been miserable 4 hours in the game. It's like, please end this fucking game. What were the pitchers? They like the pitchers that Coppin State were throwing. Did they just have no arms left, or were like position players out?
They were actually they had good stuff. They just weren't finding the zone. Like they were all high 80s, low 90s. They had a couple lefties throw. I think their Friday guy actually came out of the pen. I don't know if he threw in the 4th inning for a little bit. So they were just a depleted bullpen. I think they used a lot of guys to get their series win over the weekend prior, and I think that led to most of it. And that's like the stuff you don't really see online with the ESPN posts and the DraftKings. Like you don't really see that, and that contributed most to it. But yeah, it was very long. It was very long. I think it was 20 runs in the first inning. And then I think then it was like 4 runs, 1 run, 7 runs or something. And it was, you remember last year when we played them, it was, what was it, like 28, 20,
yeah, dude.
28, 18 or something?
Well, the crazy thing is, from my memory last year when we played Coppin State, we went up by like at least double-digit runs, and then we had some of the back half of our bullpen going because a lot of guys pitched the weekend prior, and Coppin State ended up putting up some runs against us like the 6th or 7th inning. And while we were up by like 15, they started creeping back, and it ended up being a game. They had a couple key hits, and yeah, it's just like every time you go to Coppin State, you're there for at least 4 hours, and then you got the 3-hour bus ride back to Lehigh. So that shit also sucks.
Exactly.
But no, I know, like, obviously, hey, no disrespect to any Division I mid-major program. I mean, you got to respect Coppin State. They're dudes out there playing D1 ball, but dude, I mean, I can only imagine what that program's going through. What those guys are saying right now, seeing them get clowned all over social media. Like,
that's and they don't deserve all that. I mean, it's midweeks. Like the midweek culture is interesting in college baseball. It's to get guys innings. It's everyone's preparing for the weekend, and you're coming off of a weekend, so it's kind of just like scrap away, try to get to the weekend, and it just like got out of hand.
Yeah, no, like I said. Midweek, especially midweeks, man, because you're playing just like everyone doesn't have their best arms going, so it's always prepared for
madness.
Yeah, bro, like literally, it literally is. But yeah, no, I wanted to touch on that because obviously I think ESPN were posting about it, DraftKings, which was crazy. You know,
Yes,
we got
yes, yeah.
DraftKings Sportsbook like getting retweeted by
Uh,
our team page, which is kind of
it,
funny.
it
But
posted pictures of Tristan.
yeah, no, literally like crazy. But yeah, no, that was interesting. So yeah, shout out Lehigh there. But all right, I think we can get into the let's get into the draft. All right, so I got a little mock draft pulled up here. Okay, we know Mendoza is going number one of the Raiders. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, I think you know at least my opinion on it. You think that Mendoza for the Raiders. What is your initial thoughts, by the way? Like, are you pretty set? You think Mendoza is going to be a successful, maybe the franchise guy, or
So hard to say. I mean, he's a very pro style quarterback, and I think he's the easiest player in the draft class to evaluate because the route trees are pro level. There's not a ton of college gimmicky plays on that Indiana offense. I think Mendoza is as for sure as it gets, as opposed to you know what you're going to get, and I think
yeah,
you're going to get a Kirk Cousins ish type career out of him. Good,
yeah.
maybe not amazing, but a serviceable franchise quarterback.
Yeah, serviceable, I guess. Maybe, I mean, if he develops well, but like,
Uh,
quick plug here. I just posted a YouTube video about my whole take on Mendoza and why the Raiders should have gotten Kyler Murray over him. So if you're interested in my full take on Mendoza, go ahead and watch that. But yeah, I'm just not bought in on him completely. Not saying that he's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he can't be successful, but it's just like the fact that they're willing to bench him for a whole year. They brought in Kirk Cousins. Like people will say that's developing him, but dude, if you're the first
yeah.
overall pick, you got to be ready to go day one, in my opinion, especially when you compare him to the last first overall quarterbacks. And then you watch him at Indiana, very vanilla offense for him, and everything around him was just so good, so elite. All his receivers, his O line, his defense was great. Everything was perfect. You're going on to a Raiders team now with a bad offensive line, question mark defense. Like, I just don't know how he's going to fare. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, Mendoza can easily prove all my takes wrong, and I probably make me look like a clown. But dude, I think it's more likely that he's kind of like average, at least for the first couple of years, and then we have some
Yeah.
conversations where he might have been like, I'm not going to say he's on Jamarcus Russell level bust, but like we're not going to know for a while. That's the thing. Like if he sits for, I mean, he's probably not going to sit the whole year. He'll probably come in like later, latter half, maybe.
Like
Unless
dart.
Kirk Cousins, yeah, unless Kirk
I think
Cousins is
like a
winning.
dart. Like what did we say? Week 4 to 6, and that ended up happening week 6
Yeah, yeah,
over Russ. I think it's something similar to that.
yeah. It just
I don't
depends,
think
like,
Kirk has any more juice left. I think he
because
is.
dude, he's Kirk is I think 37 this year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy for him too because last year he came in the first half of the season was kind of lighting it up with the Falcons, right? Like him and Drake
Hmm.
London looking pretty elite, and then I think
And then he
he's
kind of
banged
fell
up a little bit,
off.
right? He had like
Couple,
a
yeah,
arm issue or something, and then fell
yeah,
apart from there.
and then Drake London was banged up,
Yeah,
and then Pitts broke out a little bit, and then
yeah.
Penix came back. It was a mess, but
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I don't think Kirk Cousins is gonna have some sort of breakout revival season, but hey, you never know. You never know with the Raiders. So that's
yeah, it'll
set in
be
stone.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that first pick is set in stone, and then you got the Jets. Okay, at the second overall pick, and there's two picks for him right there. You got Arvell Reese and David Bailey. Now I just saw a report come out today that the Jets canceled their one-on-one meeting with David Bailey. So there's like two sides of that. Maybe like obviously they I think their quote was they have nothing left to really discuss with him. Like they've already discussed everything that needs to be said with him, I guess. I don't know if that's good or bad news. I don't know if that means they already are set on Arvell Reese and they just don't want to talk to Bailey anymore, or
Yeah.
if it's literally just a waste of time and they already like made up their mind. Like even if they are picking him, it's like why would I waste time with you flying to New York or whatever? But I think David Bailey's the move for them personally. I think when you look at Arvell Reese, he's more of a project. They're more like you're developing a little bit more. You're anticipating that he's going to be a pretty high level linebacker, but it's like you watch David Bailey last year. He was the best player on Texas Tech's number one ranked defense. He's a pure edge rusher. He's going to come in from day one and make an impact. And I feel like the Jets, they can't use a top three pick on almost like a gamble play. You want a for sure guy, especially in a rebuild mode when you got a lot of draft picks stacked
Uh-huh.
up. You want to make sure that your high overall pick is as for sure as it gets. And David Bailey is more for sure than Arvell Reese. And this isn't a time to gamble. So that's my take on that. I think they should go with David Bailey.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Bailey had the better stats in his college career. He's better. He's playing at the top of his game right now. He's fully healthy. I think it's a no-brainer with Bailey.
Mhm.
I also like as the Jets, how could you possibly think Geno Smith's the guy? Like, how are you not
Yeah.
like you're telling me they're not thinking next year, like, oh, if we can get Arch, that'd be great. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's so hard to say. And then there's these other quarterbacks, like Chambliss, and then there's Lenore Sellers. You hope turns up. So
Yeah.
like maybe if the Jets are mediocre, those guys fall middle of the first, end of the first round. Like if they're studs. But
Dude.
I don't really know what the game plan is moving forward. Geno
It's
Smith, like,
tough. Yeah, bro. It's tough to like anticipate like, oh, next year we're gonna go on a quarterback. Well, teams were saying that last year about this draft class, and look how that turned out. Garrett Nussmeier was supposed to be the number one overall pick,
well,
and now he's third round, fourth round in mock drafts. He had a terrible season last year. I know he's banged up, but you're
yeah,
anticipating next year you got guys like Lenore Sellers, you got Trinidad Chambliss, who's not even going to be projected as a top NFL draft pick. I mean, that's
yeah.
the reason he's sitting in college another year because NFL teams aren't really bought in on him. But that's also the same with the Cardinals this year, right? Because the Cardinals are going to take whoever the Jets don't take, and they have no quarterback right now. They're rolling with Jacoby Brissett again, which is the biggest waste of a season. It's almost like if you can sim a season and just not have to play 2026, that's what the Cardinals would want to do because they've
Uh-huh.
thrown in the towel. They've thrown in the towel by not keeping Kyler Murray, keeping Jacoby Brissett, and not even going and get Malik Willis. It shows you that this is just a total rebuild year to try to get some guys reps because you're not winning with
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett. And that is, you're basically saying, like, okay, we're going to get a high draft pick next year and going on a quarterback. But who's going to be the quarterback for you to take? Are you really bought in on Arch Manning? Like, that, because other than that, you're kind of gambling that some other prospect is just going to step up and be solidified as a top five pick. And we don't know who that's going to be, especially when you look at this year. So I'm not
And
completely bought on that like whole tank for so and so next year, a year out. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
and
Um,
then you wonder if the Jets go after a quarterback in the second, third, fourth round. Like, do you go after a Ty Simpson? Like, I don't know if Ty Simpson's falling to the second round.
I could see,
Probably.
yeah, I could see them taking a quarterback late round. Like Ty Simpson. Ty
Yeah.
Simpson will probably fall to the second round.
Yeah.
He's not going first round. There's no way.
Yeah. It just
Like
depends how many. It just depends how many teams decide they want quarterbacks.
true.
No, I think you're right though. Like, how could he go in the first? I
You
don't really
can't.
see a world where he could.
He can't. And even if you don't want Ty Simpson, you got guys like, like I said, Garrett Nussmeier. He's honestly a good value pick for the third,
Right.
fourth round, especially because he's
Right.
got the talent. He was banged up last year. LSU had no run game, pretty shit situation, I would say. Brian Kelly leaving, new head coach, all of that. So it wasn't the best for him, but he's still got the talent. I mean, he's got the arm talent, especially. And then you look at someone like Carson Beck. I feel like Carson Beck is getting somewhat overlooked. You watch him latter half the season, he led Miami to a national championship. He looked very comfortable, very calm and poised, wasn't making as many mistakes as he was earlier this year, and as he was at Georgia. And so you saw that maturity in Beck. So I think teams like maybe the Jets or even someone like the Steelers
Uh-huh.
are looking at Beck and it's like, okay, I can maybe take a fourth, fifth round shot on him. If he's even there, he might even be a third round pick. So
So,
there's some like
so you
late,
think?
yeah.
Yeah. You think the Steelers mail it in on Will Howard already? Like they're kind of just like I don't
Aaron Rod,
know. Like
I don't know, dude. I think Rodgers comes back for another year. I
I think
really
he
do.
has to. Like they need
Yeah.
him to. Because if he doesn't, they're fucked. Like who are they going to play? They still have Mason Rudolph, who's like a serviceable backup. Like he's not winning football
You
games.
you can't win games with Mason Rudolph. I think Aaron Rodgers, I saw a quote that he was 50-50 coming back. He had a lot of fun last year, as we all know. So I think he wants to take one more shot. I think you left on the playoffs as a because the Steelers could have won a playoff game. Like they were good enough to do that. And Aaron Rodgers was playing at a very high level. It's not like he was even remotely like he looked like he was one of the top like not maybe not like a top 10 quarterback, borderline top 10 quarterback.
Like a
So
game winning quarterback. Yeah.
yeah, and he had some
Top
clutch
half of the
moments.
league.
So it's like, bro, if you still got it, like why retire? Like you don't want to have regrets leaving the game too early. So I think he does come back. I think he enjoyed it. I think he's kind of just prolonging it so he can enjoy his off season, I would say. Doesn't have to do all the off season, volunteer like workouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um if he doesn't, I'm gonna be surprised. And then it's like, yeah, I think they got to draft. I think based on who the Steelers draft is a bigger indication on if Rodgers will stay. If they go ahead and use a late round pick on a Carson Beck or a Garrett Nussmeier, then it shows, okay, they're probably not anticipating Aaron Rodgers is going to stay or come back for another
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
we'll
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
yeah, what about dude, what about our New
I
York
want to
Giants
talk
here?
about, yeah,
Or
I want to talk
who
about
are
the
you?
Giants.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Giants. And I want to talk about Ruben Bain. I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about your Giants right now, dude. What's going on with them?
Yeah, so
Like,
here you go.
do you believe in them? Like, is this a playoff team next year? Is this an NFC East champion
Yeah,
next year?
I'm not gonna say that this is a playoff team. I still got I think Jackson Dart had a good rookie season, but I'm not like gonna say that he's gonna lead the Giants to a playoff berth next year. I'm not completely bought on him from like a passing standpoint. He's got some talent for sure, but when you look at their fifth round draft pick, right? I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts say that the Giants are going to go receiver. I mean, they lost Wan'Dale Robinson, right, this offseason. And
Uh,
Malik Neighbors obviously has some health issues, some question marks there. So there's a lot of talk that they're going to draft Carnell Tate at fifth, at least from the mock draft, the most recent mock drafts I'm seeing. That just makes no sense to me, though, for the Giants, because what was the Giants' main issue last year? It was tackling on defense and their secondary. You look at their secondary, they were committing penalties like nonstop, and they couldn't tackle the run game. So they lost. I'm gonna pronounce. They lost Flott this past offseason, right? He started 37 games his time in New York. He kept progressing, signed a $45 million deal with Tennessee. So he's gone. Okay. Like I said, the Giants were a top 5 penalized team last year. Andrew Phillips, who's their starting nickel right now, he got flagged 9 times in the secondary. 9 times. That's horrible. And then he got benched at one point after and he had a strong 2024 season, but he just kept giving up so many penalties that they had to bench him. Okay, so now you got him. Yeah, Greg Newsome, who's coming in from Cleveland, Jacksonville last year. They brought him in. He gave up a lot of completions last year in 2025. So he's not like, you can't really trust him. And then you got Paulson Adebo, who I was actually a huge fan of coming out of New Orleans. He was supposed to be this lockdown. They paid him like he was this lockdown corner. I think his deal was what, $54 million they gave to Paulson Adebo. But like, where was he last year? I know he was hurt a little bit, but it was very underwhelming with a lot of the receptions that he was giving up. So I'm not completely bought on the secondary. You gotta draft Mansour Delane out of LSU with the 5th overall pick. He is a true lockdown elite corner, in press, man coverage, zone coverage, do it all corner. And if you add him to the Giants secondary, I would feel so much more comfortable because, like I said, their current lineup that they got right now, no confidence in them. No confidence because
yeah.
you got a star power defensive line. I know linebacker's a little shaky, but if you just
Uh,
get another corner that you know you can leave on an island with some of the game's best receivers, at least prospect wise, that's what it appears he's going to be, Mansour Delane. I think that's what Harbaugh needs. And especially with Paulson Adebo as well. So Paulson Adebo missed some voluntary workouts as well, and he did not tell Harbaugh about that. So Adebo and Harbaugh have gotten off on the wrong foot. Wonder if that's going to lead to some issues down the line as well. So that's another issue for the secondary. That's why I think Mansour Delane would be huge.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think Wandale leaving, I think Wandale is way better than people think. And I think he lit it up when Neighbors was out. So
yeah,
I feel like people think they need to fill that hole, but like they have guys like Slayton who could fill a wide receiver 2 spot. I think I'm under the impression that Neighbors will be fully healthy. I know he's coming off the ACL meniscus
yeah.
surgery,
He should be
but
fully healthy.
he'll be fine. It's a pretty standard traditional surgery. He's back in 9 months, but yeah, it does raise that question because there is a huge hole in that secondary, that Giant secondary.
Yeah. And especially if they want to go wide receiver, it's like Carnell Tate, bro. He did not put up what big game did Carnell Tate put up eye-popping numbers? Never. Like, he never really did. He was never a guy Carnell Tate was never a guy you watched and thought, wow, he is going to change a franchise. And people are talking about him as a top 5 pick. What big game did he really ball out in? You look at his 2 best games in college, they were against Minnesota and Wisconsin in blowout wins by like 40 points. Okay. If you also look, he topped 100 yards, 3, 4 times in his college career? Like, this is a guy that we're talking about, a top 5 pick. He was glorified because he had Jeremiah Smith, a generational talent, playing opposite of him. And he was taking away all the attention. So Cardinal Tate, I know he's got some good deep ball skills. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad receiver, but top 5 pick? I think Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon are both better prospects than him, easily, because those are 2 guys that you really look at, okay, this is going to be a wide receiver 1. Cardinal Tate is a wide receiver 2. It like what really pops out to you? Like, you watch him in the playoffs. I think he had 3 catches from 45 yards. Like I'm just not bought in on Tate. Like I'm not. I hate to sound like a hater. I'm not saying he's not good. Like I said, he's a talented guy, but like top 5 pick, no shot. He's the third best
Yeah.
wide receiver in this draft class. But
Yeah. What do you think about the Indiana receiver, Cooper? You like him or no?
Omar Cooper, that's another one. It's like, is he really that?
Right
Is he
foot.
really all that? Is he really all that? I think he gets a lot of glaze from his Penn State grab, which was insane. But like, dude, that was like
Saves Mendoza, by the way.
bro. Yeah,
Saves
he
Mendoza.
did say Mendoza.
That's a Heisman saving catch.
hmm
It's
Like
literally.
it literally was, bro. If Omar Cooper doesn't make that grab, does Indiana win the national championship? Like, I don't know if they do, because then you're talking about, okay, they're probably not the 1 seed. If they lose that Penn State game and then they go play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, not as much momentum. You never know. Like, the whole season changes if Omar Cooper doesn't get his foot in bounds by that much. And so, yes, is he a first round pick? I think in a lot of mock drafts, this mock draft that I have pulled up right now has Omar Cooper going 14th
15.
overall
Yeah.
to the Ravens. I mean, he was technically the number 1 on Indiana, but was he really the best
Becker
receiver?
was a stud.
I
Yeah,
think
Becker
Charlie
was a
Becker was
stud.
better than him. I think Charlie Becker was
Mhm.
better, and even Elijah Surratt. I think Surratt was like the most. I think he was kind of Mendoza's go-to guy more than Cooper in a sense. I think if you need it, if it was like third and 6, 3rd and 7, you're looking Surratt's way. Omar Cooper is a talented guy, but it's like, also, how much did he benefit from Signetti in the offensive system?
Mhm.
That's why I'm like really interested to see how this Indiana offense, these players, turn out to be in the NFL, because it just felt like we made the jokes last year about how Indiana looks like they were playing on a cheat code, and it's because their system and the Signetti scheme that was set up was just so above everyone else. And so you pick out these players from that system, put them on different NFL teams, spread them out. It's like I'm very intrigued to see how they do, and that goes for Omar Cooper. I'm not saying he's not talented, but that's just another guy where it's like I'm flagging. It's like, is he really top 15 pick? I'm not sure. I think when you look at receiver wise, dude, I would take the guy from Washington over him. Like,
Mhm.
what's his name? Is it Boston? I
He
forget his
came
first name.
back. Yeah, really good.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I would take him over him, to be honest. And like I said, Jordan Tyson, Makai Lemon, those are the top 2 guys. Those are I know people are ripping on Jordan Tyson for the injury concerns. I'm not bought in on that. He tore his ACL 4 years ago, came back, looked explosive, and yeah, he dealt with a hamstring injury last year. I've said this a while, but when you watched him in the Texas Tech he injured the hamstring that game, he came back later in the fourth quarter, made a big grab on 3rd down, had a touchdown as well. Dude, he's a dog. I think that when he was sitting a little bit for the rest of the season, it was almost like preserving, because ASU wasn't competing for a college football playoff. He knew that he was going to be a top 10 draft pick. Why risk an injury further to the hamstring? That's my take on
mhm.
it. And he's hosting a private workout, by the way, for teams. I think it's this weekend. So we'll see if we get any clips from that as well. So
Yeah,
that's my
yeah,
take.
man.
What
Kind of a
about
shorter. Yeah, what do we got?
I want to talk about Ruben Bain real quick.
I'd love to, dude. I don't know. You watch him play the football game between the lines, and he's the best edge rusher I've seen since Micah
Yeah.
Parsons. Like
Yeah.
actually, and we saw Parsons fall. There's always this buzz before the draft, like oh this, ooh that. Like we hear this car accident or whatever in 2024. The same way we heard Micah Parsons in the locker room incidents. Parsons has been nothing short of a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL for however long, for 5 years now, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like all these things you hear, I think it's a no-brainer. Ruben Bain should be in the top 10. Like maybe Bailey goes before him, that's it. But
Yeah.
like you hear all this, people are just bored. Like you hear, oh, the 77.5-inch wingspan. You watched him play football for 4 years, for however many years. Like he's as good as it gets. He's a game changer, and I think there's no reason he shouldn't be in the top 10.
100% agree with you. It's like everyone's focused on his wingspan. Did we not watch him play in college? Look,
Like
one
I don't,
sack,
yeah.
2 tackle for losses, and four tackles overall versus Ohio State in the college football playoff quarterfinal. He had versus Notre Dame. He had 6 tackles and a pick. Key pass rushes late on CJ
Mhm.
Carter to win that game. He had 3 sacks versus Texas A&M. He had 8 tackles and a sack versus Indiana. Dude, his best games of the year were on the biggest games of the year. His best games of the year were on the biggest stages. Why are we overthinking this? Like, he was the clear best edge rusher in college. No, like, are we going to ignore our eyes and are we going to ignore the tape because of some measurement that we had at the NFL Combine on his arm length? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think also another underrated aspect of Rueben Bain's game is that he barely comes off the field. Dude, he played 90.4% of non-garbage time snaps this year. So he never came off of the field. His 897 snaps were the most for a defensive end in the FBS last year, second most this decade. So you're getting a guy that is going to play every single down for you, and it's like he's going to be productive every down. So I wouldn't overthink this as well. And you talk about the whole incident that came out with him and the crash that happened in 2024. Terrible incident. Okay, it was really sad to hear that. That was the first time I actually heard about that when they came out. But all the NFL teams already knew about that. And it's not like it was this breaking news that was really going to hurt his draft stock. Everyone already knew about this story. So the reporter that leaked that, and if you read the message from the victim's family, the person that did die. So first of all, from my understanding, it was Rueben Bain. It was 4 a.m. He was driving on a highway, and I guess he like crashed into another car, and then his car crashed into the guardrail on the right side of the highway, and then they like spun around and crashed into another guardrail or something. And the woman that died was in his passenger seat. And crazy, very tragic story. But Rueben Bain was not under the influence of anything. He was completely sober, and it was just like almost like a wrong place, wrong time scenario. Very, very tragic. So it's like the reporter that not leaked this story. That's the wrong term. The reporter that came out with this story was ignoring the victim's family's request of to not make this public. And he publishes this 10 days before draft day. That maybe like 2 weeks before draft day. Like, that was clearly just for clicks. Like, it wasn't going to hurt his draft stock. And the victim's family said that we don't want this public. So it's like totally just trying to
Shady.
bash
It's shady, yeah.
Rueben Bain's draft stock. And even if you look at the article, the victim's family said that we wish Rueben Bain the best for his NFL career. So there's no beef between them. It was just a tragic incident, and it's just trying to like freak accident, and people are just trying to, get clicks, and nowadays that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I don't think that hurts his draft stock. He still should be a top 10 pick for sure.
I don't think
Right.
it does, and I agree with you. And what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say right now this mock draft I have, he's going to the Cowboys at number 8. The Cowboys trading up with the Saints to get Rueben Bain. I would love that.
Cool.
That would be some Jerry Jones cooking right there.
Yeah, and then the Saints get Cooper, bro. We got to get Shook a weapon. That would be sick. That would be sick,
bro. That's your boy, man. That's your boy this upcoming year.
I can't wait to talk about him. I'm gonna have so much to say about him.
Yeah, we got to do some preseason award predictions for sure.
Oh yeah, that's my guy.
I will expect Tyler Shough to be up there for you right there. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that when we get into closer to the season. We can do all that. But I think what's up
with the wingspan? It's just overanalyzing. It's just
like
you watched him play football. Like, he's the best at what he does. Every
100%.
single time he doesn't come off the field, it's absolutely like the 77.5-inch wingspan's totally like, you guys have eyes too. Like, he's not going to fall in this draft. Like, he's going to go top 10, top 5.
100%, bro. 100%. But yeah, I think that touches everything that we really wanted to get into. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Like we said, we're back. I don't want to put a strict schedule on our posting time. Obviously, with the off season, there's not as much content to cover. But if we got some breaking news, anything crazy going on in the NFL world, we'll definitely be back and making an appearance. But until we hit like probably August, maybe once the NFL preseason starts, we'll make sure to get some bi-weekly episodes for you guys. So yeah, it was good. Sure. I hope everyone enjoys the draft day and their teams everyone gets the players that they want on their team. But yeah, I guess I appreciate you guys listening. And
as always, you don't know ball, but we do.